One day I was crossing the street when a fast car suddenly came from the corner. I jumped back quickly and shouted loudly to get the driver's attention. He saw me just in time, hit the brakes hard and barely missed hitting me. If he had reacted just a second later, I would have been badly hurt or maybe even died on the spot. I got angry, called him an idiot and kept walking. After a few moments, I took a deep breath, calmed down and moved on without thinking much about it. But a few years ago, my reaction would have been very different. I would have gone home in a rage, thrown stuff around and complained to my roommate. I would have said how stupid the driver was and how dangerous people are on the road. I would have blamed drunk driving, careless drivers and even bad traffic laws. Then I would have repeated the same story to my friends, family, coworkers and anyone who would listen. Every time I told the story, I would relive those 10 scary seconds and imagine how badly it could have ended. This habit of complaining made me more negative. At the time I thought it was normal. Everybody vents when they're upset, right? Especially after something so frightening. But here's what I finally learned. Complaining never solves anything. It only makes your life harder and fills your mind with negativity. Complaining is the worst, right? People love to complain. It's easy, popular, and everyone does it. But when someone like me comes along and says that complaining is completely useless, people get annoyed and guess what? They start complaining about me saying it. Let's clear this up. Not all negative talk is bad. Sometimes it's necessary. Discussing problems, fighting against injustice, or standing up to oppression are important and meaningful. But complaining isn't the way to do any of that. Complaining is just talking nonsense without trying to fix anything. Trust me, I know because I used to complain a lot too. I understand why people defend it. They say things like, it's not so bad, it makes me feel better, or it helps solve problems. But honestly, those excuses are nonsense and I'm about to prove it. Here are some excuses you probably use to justify complaining. Number 1. You have to talk about negative things to solve them. Talking about a problem or criticizing bad behavior to make things better is helpful. There's nothing wrong with that. But complaining is different. It's just negative talk with no purpose, no solution, and no effort to change anything. Complaining means doing nothing about the problem. It doesn't fix anything or teach you how to avoid the same issue in the future. It just shifts the blame and says, this is awful. Well, no kidding. Pointing fingers and blaming others is the easy way out. But have you ever tried pointing that finger at yourself? Maybe that's where real change starts. Number 2. The world can be negative and you can't avoid it. Holy smokes, Batman. I totally get it and would give you a high five for that. But what does any of this have to do with complaining? Yes, there will always be negative stuff in the world. That doesn't mean you need to talk about it all the time. You could just as easily focus on the positive things. But let's be honest, you probably won't, right? I'm not saying you should ignore bad things or pretend everything is great. Life isn't perfect and sometimes things genuinely suck. But most of the stuff you complain about daily isn't that important. You're better off letting it go. It only matters if you choose to make it matter. Look back at my story earlier. It could have just been a small incident I forgot about, or I could have turned it into a near-death experience drama. It was all about how I chose to see it. So ask yourself this. Do you want to be the person who lets things go, or the one constantly seeking pity and attention? Which one sounds better to you? Number 3. Everybody needs to vent sometimes, it's just blowing off steam. Venting is just another form of complaining and honestly it does more harm than good. Sure, it might make you feel better for a moment but in the long run, it actually makes things worse. It's been proven to increase negative thoughts, make you angrier, and keep your focus on problems instead of finding solutions. Every time you vent, you're reliving that bad event and wasting more energy on it. You bring back all those negative feelings, making yourself even more negative over time. Eventually, it becomes a habit. You start looking for things to complain about without even realizing it. Before you know it, negativity becomes your natural mindset. You turn into someone who complains a lot but never takes action to fix anything. Replace complaining with something better. A better way than complaining is to learn from the situations that bother you. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, think about how you can avoid similar problems next time. This is what complaining sounds like. The bus was 30 minutes late again. The drivers are useless and now I'm late. John is so annoying. He's always late, wasting my time. That driver is crazy. He almost hit me because he was on his phone. Now here's the better approach. The bus was 30 minutes late again. Since this keeps happening, I'll try catching an earlier bus and have a backup plan in case it doesn't show up. John is always late. Since I can't control him, I'll either stop making plans with him or tell him to meet 30 minutes earlier, so he shows up on time. That driver wasn't paying attention, but not all drivers are careful. I need to stay alert even if I have the right of way. If you're upset about things that don't directly affect you, like laws, politics, or celebrity gossip, either take action or let it go. Complaining at your TV won't change anything. Remember, complaining doesn't make the world better. It just makes your mood worse. Not complaining is actually kind of fun. Complaining is often a sign of losing self-control. It turns negative thoughts and emotions into pointless behavior without any purpose or goal. But once you realize that complaining is just unnecessary noise, both spoken and internal, the solution becomes simple. You don't need to express or even entertain those thoughts. One way to overcome this habit is by trying the no-complaint experiment, a simple yet powerful method to help you stop complaining and gain control over your thoughts. Tim Ferriss even referred to it as real mind control. The process is straightforward. First, get a bracelet that's easy to put on and take off. Wear it on one arm. Whenever you find yourself complaining, whether out loud or just in your head, switch the bracelet to the other arm. The goal is to go 21 days without switching hands. Although this might sound too simple to be effective, it works remarkably well in breaking negative thought patterns and improving mental discipline. There are some basic rules to follow. A complaint is defined as any negative talk about a situation or person without offering a solution. Swearing or cursing also counts, as the words you use shape your thoughts. If you get annoyed or flustered, even if you don't speak up, make the switch, because self-control involves managing your inner thoughts too. However, if you catch yourself getting upset but manage to calm down before the thoughts escalate, you don't need to switch the bracelet. Replace those negative thoughts with something like, "Okay, calm down. It's not that big of a deal." The purpose isn't just to hide your frustrations from others, but to prevent them from consuming your energy altogether. By practicing this method, you'll learn to calm your thoughts and experience a more positive and controlled mindset. The many benefits of a complaint-free life. You probably don't even realize how much you complain. When I first tried this method, I ended up switching the bracelet every 10 minutes. I was shocked and embarrassed to see how often I complained. It wasn't until I had that visual feedback that I truly noticed. But as I kept trying to keep the bracelet on one hand, I started turning it into a game. I use a simple elastic hair tie because it's stretchy and I can wear it in the shower. But the results were real. In just the first week, I found myself complaining less, feeling calmer, and being more positive overall. Every time I felt like snapping over something small, the bracelet reminded me, "Hey, chill. It's not that big of a deal." According to Will Bowen, the author of this challenge, it takes about 6 months to go the full 21 days without complaining. Even if you don't reach 21 days, just cutting down on your complaints will make a big difference. For example, if you complain 30 times a day and reduce that to 10, that's a huge improvement. You'll also get better at distinguishing whether something is truly a crisis or just a minor inconvenience. You'll shift from being outraged to focusing on solving the problem, which helps you stay calm and make better decisions. Don't be that person who complains all the time and blames everyone else. No one respects people like that. Instead, be someone with strong beliefs who works hard to achieve their goals and handles challenges with confidence. Or you could just complain about how wrong I am. Either way, you'll prove my point.